Come down.
I didn't see them.
They didn't come with me, no.
They didn't come? Okay.
No.
All right, you're good then. I think they went to where he'll sign and everything.
Ready.
Please join us in welcoming the champion of the 45th U.S. Senior Open and our two-time champion, Padraig Harrington. Padraig, put that final round into words.
Yeah, into words. It was tension-filled. Like, it was just all day. It was tight and close. I was happy that both myself and Stuart got away to a good start. We made some birdies. We got going. It was kind of important not to let the field back into it. Then we kind of hit the wall, which kind of to be expected around that turn. And after that, I was nip and tuck with Stuart. I don't watch leaderboards, so I think about through 13 holes, I turned to my caddy and said, well, is there anybody else in this? And when he told me that Miguel was 9, that was worrying, because he's in the form that if anybody's going to make some birdies, it's Miguel. So, but I knew I was still ahead of Stuart, and I was keeping an eye on him and trying to hit some nice shots through those back 9. Would have liked to hold one of the putts to get a 2-shot lead, and then Stuart was obviously a little unlucky. He didn't birdie 16 and 17 where he hit it in close, and then in 18. I was coming down 18. I said to my caddy Ronan, I said, look, if I birdie this hole, I win. It takes all the permutations out of it. And Ronan then said something to me. He reminded me of something that Hale Irwin had told me over the years. He says, always hit the shot you would hit if you're one shot behind. And that kind of gave good clarity to what I was going to do, because obviously if you're one shot behind, you'd be hitting at that pin. You got to take it on. So that made the decision. I think I'd made the decision, but it gave me clarity to that decision, that I was confident that I was doing the right thing. And certainly there was a lot of relief with that second shot at 100 and adjusted. We played it as adjusted 138 metres. I hit a half pitch and wedge. I knew it wouldn't spin back because it was a half wedge, and it skipped up there. One bounce stopped. It couldn't have been close enough. What was it, 6-7 feet? And I would have struggled to 2-putt from 40 feet. So I was very happy to have 2 to win from 6 feet.
Talk about what it meant to have your family here this time too.
Yeah, it's brilliant when you get to celebrate with your family, especially. My wife is here and one of my kids is here. The other is watching from around the world, but it's really nice, because as much as I've won tournaments back in the day, I didn't get to enjoy the experience with my kids. They were there for some of them, but they were only little. Now they understand it. So I suppose that's another great thing about the Champions Tour and the Senior Tour. It gives us this opportunity to relive our past glories.
You mentioned that yesterday about these kinds of battles with Stuart, the opportunity to relive that, and that's why you still play. But is there anything now, as you kind of look back at your career, that you feel like you can do now that you couldn't do back then in golf, or that sort
things
of
change? You're always trying to improve. You're always trying to get better. I don't think there's anything I can do now that I couldn't have done when I was younger. I would have done some things different when I was younger, for sure. I don't regret how I approached the game and what I went about, but certainly I now appreciate more how much effort it takes to play on a Sunday compared to every other day. And if you want to win tournaments, you've got to be exceptionally fresh and mentally fresh on Sunday. You've got to have the least amount of stress all the way you can during the week. And literally, I probably, just because of the nature of it, I definitely make an effort to enjoy my tournaments more, enjoy what's going on around them. It's not all work, and having your family here is part of that. When you finish up, like on Wednesday night, I went for an In-N-Out burger. Like, I didn't eat a French fry or a burger for like 10-15 years of my career. Like, it was all about, everything was get it right, diet, all that sort of thing. Like, the start of the tournament, I actually had two double doubles. So, so like, but while you might argue, that's not the best, in terms of everything should be perfect. And at this stage of my career, I've got to enjoy my life out here. And so, opportunities like that to, when you come from Ireland, you don't get the opportunity to go for an In-N-Out burger too often. So that was a nice bonus. So look, I'm a more relaxed person. Still not relaxed, but more relaxed than I was as a younger player.
Right here.
You mentioned Hale Irwin gave you that advice. Do you know when When would that have happened? Like, when was that kind of advice?
I think, now you're getting into detail, I think he probably gave me that advice about 3 years ago when I started on the Champions Tour. Maybe he was hoping I'd have a run to keep Bernard at bay from passing his record. But yes, he gave me that advice, which it's such a simple thing, and it's always the perfect shot. One shot behind. What shot would you hit if you're one shot behind? And it for every occasion it works perfectly.
And how appreciative are you of the whole, the Champions Tour, the senior majors, just because it's so unique to golf? Other sports don't have that.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. We're so much better together at this stage of our careers. Everybody is happier and friendlier. We're not half as grumpy as we were when we were young guys. And, I think as you get older, you realise that you don't actually have all the secrets, and that you can actually tell everybody everything, and it's up to them to figure it out too. So we're much more relaxed, and we're still competitive when we're on the golf course. We want to play great golf, but I think the environment around the Champions Tour is really nice. And most of us would have burnt out in golf, but you put so much into your golfing career, you burn out. Usually you don't last. 20 years is about the burnout period. 15 to 20 years. So the Champions Tour is a new lease of life, and the only way you can kind of do it is do it with a different attitude and a new attitude. And as I said, it's about, I suppose, enjoying your past glories now and reliving them.
Hey, Padraig, Stewart had a couple of, 5-6 footers there on 16 and 17. So as the guy who's playing them, what's the feeling there as you're watching it, especially knowing that the Broadmoor, it's not automatic?
Yeah, I'd missed the putts on 13, 14, 15. I'd missed some good chances, and I thought I was going to pay for it. And when Stewart was back to the wall, when I pushed him into it, he hit two great shots on 16 and 17 in there close. Yeah, nothing's given out here, for sure, and nothing is that comfortable for all us guys on the Champions Tour. But he looked like he hit pretty decent put, especially it looked like he hit a very good putt on 16. It looked like it was going in, and I think, with what we've seen recently, with JJ Spawn getting a great read on the 72nd hole, and then Tommy Fleetwood giving a great read to Keegan Bradley. I was looking at Mark Hensby gave a great read to Stewart on 17 as his ball came down, it broke, but as it turned out, it actually messed him up, because Stewart's coming back up the hill went out, if anything, went to the right. So, yeah, that's just how lucky I am. Those two guys, it was a bad break for Stewart as it turned out.
We're going to pass it right here.
Did the kind of hurry-up pace regarding that they instituted today because of the weather and yesterday affect you at all today? Was it in your mind at all?
We were looking at that cloud all day. There's no doubt about it. When we saw it came in early, and we're looking at it, and because I was going well, myself and Stuart were going well, you actually never want to stop when you're going well. You don't want to lose that momentum and have to restart. So yeah, I really was very conscious that I was hoping, and I don't have any control over the weather, but I was hoping that it would stay away and we get it done. They blew the hooter as I was out there now coming back in. So it was important to get it done. And if somebody was playing badly, they'd probably be happy for a rain delay to get a restart. But in our case, it was nice that we got through it. And I think it was there all day. But it looked, certainly with 3 or 4 holes to go, we really did feel like we were going to get home.
Padraig, congratulations. You mentioned momentum right there. That birdie yesterday on 18, do you believe that played into any momentum going into today, and that helped you kind of get ready for today's round?
Well, when I look at it, it was a 3-shot swing. It could have been a 3-shot swing. Mark and Stuart looked like they were going to make birdie to go to 9 under. If mine was going to go by, as it turned out, it could have gone by 5-6 feet. I wasn't feeling very good in the greens yesterday. I was having a really tough day. So, I could have ended up 6 under to 9 under. So it did change things. There's no doubt about it. I got into the last group. I slept soundly last night. I was in a nice place going to bed last night. So, yeah, I think I do believe that momentum definitely holds true in a whole tournament when you're getting breaks. The odd, and you never realise in a tournament, sometimes it's avoiding bad breaks. It's not always getting obvious good breaks. It's sometimes, you could hit it, you might hit a bad shot into a green and it's 15 feet underneath the pin, and not realise that everybody who hit a good shot actually bounced past the hole and ended up 3-putting or something. So, there's a lot of that goes on, but certainly a good break like that in 18. And, just getting the cheer of the crowd, that just helps. It's nice. Like, I got a big cheer. There was a huge crowd in 18 yesterday. So yeah, for sure it was a big boost, and it looked like it did carry into today.
And you said this was your first time at the Broadmoor. Just as you leave this course, your overall thoughts on the difficulty of the greens and the rough?
It's been a great week here. Everything about it, the facilities have been great. The golf course itself, I think everybody talks about the altitude and then the elevation changes on the course, but you got to play the course kind of backwards here. The greens are as tough, as treacherous as we'd ever see, and you got to know where you're hitting your tee shots to approach these greens, and then you got to know exactly where you're going to hit your second shots if you can, and keep the ball under the hole. Sometimes you've even got to make sure that sometimes playing safe is not the right option. So there's a lot of thinking going on, and I suppose the biggest thing you have to do with the yardages and the pin positions is whatever you choose, you've got to commit to it and feel like you have made the best decision.
On the right, Gary.
Padraig, can you, as a guy who's won 3 regular majors and a previous U.S. Senior Open, put into perspective on what this one means to you?
Yeah, winning. It's all about winning. Every time you come back out and you win, the nerves are there, the tension's there. You don't want to mess up. So yeah, it's very exciting to come out here and win. But I think what winning a US Senior Open or any tournament on the Champions Tour, it kind of validates your career. It validates the past in a lot of ways. It genuinely, I know I've said this, and you are reliving the past glories. You're hitting shots and you're waving at the crowds. The people come out because they know you from the past. The amount of people that will come and say they were at my majors, they watched my majors, or maybe they started playing golf because of the major wins I've had. I also get the grown man come up to me who tells me I gave them a golf ball when they were a kid. Yeah, I get that a bit as well. Really, yeah, like you could have full beer, everything. Yeah, so, but that's what we're here for, and it really does. I think the Champions Tour consistently delivers great drama, Sunday afternoon, household names that we're familiar with, and the fact that we're not all perfect out here. We have many demons out here on the Champions Tour. Everybody's dealing with something. They're not happy chipping, they're not happy putting. There's a lot going on in our heads out here. So in many ways, we're actually more human as well. We're more relatable because we can certainly mess up.
You said earlier this week this was the first time you'd come to Colorado. Did you have expectations that any different than a normal tournament?
Obviously, we're coming. The expectations is everybody talks about the altitude all the time, and so we were aware of that. I've played a lot at altitude over the years at different countries, so that wasn't going to be a big deal. I just really enjoyed the experience here at the Broadmoor. It was right from the start. You'd be surprised. You stay in a nice hotel. Sometimes we stay in a very average place because it's near the thing. Here we're staying in a beautiful hotel. It just settles you down for the week. Everything about it, being on site made it very easy. It just was a very nice, comfortable week. Look, I'm here working this week. I think there's nobody that wouldn't come here on a holiday, would they?
Last one right here, Luca.
Miguel had a pretty crazy run today. Were you scoreboard watching?
I don't scoreboard watch. And especially as myself and Stuart were going well, I didn't need to scoreboard watch. I knew it was between me and him. When we stalled up on the back 9 and kind of, which often happens, we kind of hit a wall. So on 13, I did ask my caddy, is it just me and Stuart, or is there anybody else here? Because if I was worried that if there's somebody else there, I'd have to go after it a bit more. Whereas when you're one ahead, you're hitting the shot like you would hit one shot behind. You should always hit that anyway. But I was just a little bit worried, and he told me, I didn't know he ever got to 10 because I don't watch scoreboards. I knew he got to 9, so I was worried about Miguel because good things are happening to Miguel at the moment. He birdied the last 2 last week to get into a playoff. He's in that frame of mind to do crazy things. So yeah, it was a little bit in the back of my head, but I didn't hear big cheers coming home. So I was kind of. I only checked again. I probably checked on. I think I only checked on the 18 that Miguel hadn't, wasn't in it. It was just myself and Stuart. So, up to that, I was quite comfortable that I was trying to make birdies on those holes coming in, but I wasn't panicking, even though, as I said, Miguel is having a great run. He's doing crazy things, so he would be a danger.
All right, well, thank you, Padraig. Congratulations.
Thank you, folks. 17. Kieran.
And how long have you been married for?
Oh, Jesus. What sort of question is that?
Just your wife. 98, okay.
Yeah.